In other words, everything that is non-physical is manifestable. Don't make it separate. Let it come out where you can see it. You bring it to the seeable, hearable, smellable, tasteable, touchable, understandable in the way you mean it. You can feel the vortex and there's an understanding. But there's even more of a specific understanding when you let it come forward where you can devour it with your physical senses, which is the reason that you are here in this physical form. You want to be source energy personified.
And I get that. It's sort of like a mechanistic question. I'm a chemist, and I've got an interest in chemistry and matter, condensed matter. One thing that's interesting is light will interact with it if it's of the right vibration. Otherwise, it's transparent to it. It just can pass right through. So there's that parallel
that's what we're talking about.
There's something going on there.
The manifestation of that gives you understanding.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Why does non-physical need the condensed matter state for the contrast to evolve? Why can't it be a thought experiment in just light? There's something going on in the condensed matter.
Way more satisfying. Isn't that a bit like saying, if you guys have got it all figured out, why does anybody come forth into the physical?
There's some sort of trouble that comes along when free energy condenses into matter that lets the contrast, that allows for the contrast. There's something going on there that I'm like...
Well, let us give you a basis of things that will help your discovery as you move forward.
Okay.
Nothing inconsistent ever happens. So as it is in physical, it is in non-physical. It's just that physical, it's like the magnifying glass has been put on the principles so that they are more tangible and therefore more seeable and therefore more understandable. So whatever you are seeing in the physical form, you must understand that non-physical must support it or it could not be.
There's sort of a rooting, I guess, like maybe it's too free and free-flowing out in non-physical, and they're like, hey, I see some contrast, I'm going to stay on the road.
Nothing like that.
No.
It is that in the non-physical there is more diffusion of focus, and in the physical there is more specific of focus.
A concentration.
And you're right in this sense. You're exactly right in this sense. You're upon something very important in this sense. And someone asked the question just a little bit ago about there's the vortex of what is wanted, but is there a vortex of unwanted too? In this physical form, you get what you think about. And so there are rivers and streams and currents that are flowing that have momentum that if you're in the vicinity of them, you can become a part of. We're talking about the physical format. This vibrational vortex that we're talking about that is a vibrational match to who you really are, to that source energy part of you. Through life you have sorted and sifted and synthesized and come to the conclusions of what is wanted. When you reemerge into non-physical, you leave behind all unwanted. And what you take into the non-physical is the pure wanted. So you are exactly right. In that non-physical energy, there is certainly, by your perspective, far less contrast than there is in the physical format. And the reason for that is because of the stability. In other words, that provides stability. So Source can stand in that knowing place, not experiencing the contrast in the way human does. Now, Source can focus upon the contrast that you're experiencing in that step 5 format that we were talking about. And so Source does not feel the contrast that humans feel. But if you out here on the leading edge were unable to feel the contrast, then you couldn't put the new into the vortex and the evolution of all species could not continue.
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
You're really on to something.
Yes?
Okay. The next half of this question was the purpose of DNA. In some of my meditations recently, I've started getting like visions of an auric field chromosomes. And I've read papers in the past that I didn't give much credence to, but, where the tuning ability of DNA. And I feel like as we raise our vibration, it responds
yes.
much in that way about the transparent matter. Like I want to bring good positive energy. my DNA is making changes.
Yes.
I feel like to receive energy.
You're adaptive. The question is, are you adapting to this or this?
Right. So like you were saying, when you depart, you leave everything bad behind.
Or when you're in physical form and you meditate, you leave it behind too.
And you can gain that. But in DNA, it's the information storage going on in DNA that is perpetuating the evolution of all species on this planet.
Misassumption.
Okay.
The DNA is not doing the dictating. It is adapting to the vibration.
Right. I'm with you there. So when you have two parents come together, they have like a historic DNA.
Talking about the biology.
The biology, which I think can be overcome by your thoughts.
So there are two parents that are accomplishing the biology of the DNA. And we say, blah, blah, blah. And then there is the non-physical arena of pure positive energy that is accomplishing the vibrational biology, which is supreme. And by far the greatest influencer.
Yeah.
Oh, by far, by far, by far, by far, by far.
But is there not some sort of nascent baggage or things that you have to deal with, like?
No, just hindering beliefs that you pass along from one another in your physical form. Just hindering beliefs that you pass along.
More societally?
Societally, parentally, spousally, educationally, historically.
Yeah. That's all part of it. But so that
It's all part of the contrast, and it's all good. In other words, so there's this basis that you're born into, and there's this basis that you come from. And the deliciousness of life is finding the balance in all of that. And everything that we teach is about letting this be dominant. But you got to know about it first. You got to find some way of hooking into it in an understanding way.
So am I wrong in thinking that if we live a life where we are altering our DNA and pulling more and more positive energy into our being non-transparent, but absorbing that energy, does it
You are not wrong. It's exactly right. In fact, the evolution of your species is including all of that. Your adaptability, that's what that's all about.
But is there a change that can occur in the DNA that can then be passed on? Isn't that the process?
It already has been. It's hard for you to see it because it's gradual, and it's hard for you to define it because scientists are so busy looking at what has been that they're not able to see what is becoming, and they need it to be manifested before they see it and take note of it when it's in the vibrational ethers all along and you could sense it and know it. But yes, that adaptability, that evolution, that's what all of that is about. That's why we acknowledge and we really want you to know that well-being does abound. It always will. There's so much that you worry about that you need not worry about.
This basis of this question is it's not like a worry or a concern. It's more like just a hunger for...
It's an eagerness. It's an eagerness to put words to something that you are sensing. Yeah, and you will put good words to it because you're in a place where you have the root of the words, and now you are connecting with the knowledge of the source, and when those two come together, that's what creation is all about. You will find the words.
I feel like it is bringing me to a new place.
And everyone else as a result. Because once you find it, it's the way all of those discoveries are. Once you find it and validate it through your undeniable evidence, then it's harder for it to be refuted. But most are so busy looking at the existence of the evidence that they don't find anything new.
And then once you get to that new place, though,
and the nice thing
there's
is,
that's a new vista.
You stand in a whole new room,
right.
Whole new room with a whole new set of contrasting experiences, bringing a whole lot of new inspired questions that bring a whole lot of new inspired answers, and on it goes.
Yeah, lovely.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Enough?